Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test. Stand by for a transmission from DX Central. This broadcast is not a test. To confirm reception, please tune your radio to any AM or FM frequency and report your observations during this transmission. Again, this is not a test.
DX Central, because we're all about radio. Visit us at dxcentralonline.com or check us out on YouTube. Search DX Central. Gulf South
to your corner of the world.
This is DX Central Live.
Now here's your host, Lloyd Van Horn.
Now we're on this DX Central Live from the North Shore Studios here at Mandeville, Louisiana. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition, kind of on the fly version of DX Central. Wasn't planning on this one tonight, but the propagation gods had different ideas. So we set the scene for you here. We are under what looks to be possible Aurora conditions, Auroral Enhancement conditions here, at least from where I'm at here in southeast Louisiana, what I'm seeing. And I'll show you why I think so. And we'll go through some of the different frequencies where I'm hearing some things and not hearing other things that I would expect to hear. Even on the Southern Wire, I would still expect to hear some stations. Possibly. So let's go ahead and swap over. Yeah, let's do this. All right, so we're going to show you up here. First off, let me look at the numbers. This is a big part of why I think we are in these conditions. Solar flux 159, that's not a big part, but the next two, A index of 26, K index of 5, and a negative 10.9 Bravo Zulu, BZ. That's a big, big negative number there for the BZ. And when BZ goes negative, you get auroral conditions. And this number, when I checked it about 30, 45 minutes ago, it was a negative 0.5. So we're now up to a negative 10.9 on the BZ just in the last 30 minutes, as this now is impacting North America more predominantly. So let me show you another thing here. This is pull it up from our Twitter feed here. This is from a solar forecast group, Space Weather Watch. Let me get to it here. All right, so this is their Aurora map, and you can see what they have. They have a red line that goes right here. It cuts down across around Chicago. So as far south as Chicago is their forecast for how far south this Aurora event may take place. That was as of 6 hours ago, roughly. They had that line there. And then you'll see some other little theses here. So go to our Twitter account, twitter.com/DXCentral. We've been retweeting their event information here, and they actually just put out another one here a few moments ago that caught my eye. Seeing a ton of great aurora shots so far out of Europe. North America's next. It'll be really interesting if the Earth's magnetic field is still enhanced by the second CME arrival. If so, we might be talking about this storm for a long time. So that's interesting. This is the first of two storms, and so if that second storm hits at a time when the magnetic field is already energized, we may be looking at some extremely interesting conditions here on the AM side of things. So high A index, high K index. High K index tells you that A index is going to stay high for a while. because it's usually the precursor. If it starts going down, that means the A index will start coming down soon. But we're still holding around a 5 right now. I've seen some forecasts showing 6s and 7s here on the way. So that means that A index is going to continue to be high or drive higher. But that negative BZ is the one that I'm really, really interested in here, because we're at a negative 10.9, and just recently it was at a negative 0.5. So that tells me that this is getting a little more intense, a little stronger. And let me show you now. Here, I'm just leaving the recording running on this one. I don't want to miss any of these. I haven't started up over in the chat yet, so bear with me if you guys are in the chat. I haven't pulled that up yet. I just turned this sucker on and decided to go live kind of last minute. I haven't announced that I'm even live yet. I hadn't a chance to do that. So if you're here, it's because you are a subscriber, which I mean, thank you very much for that. So what we've got so far, I've gotten a couple of different things that kind of clued me in. Number one, I went to 720 kilohertz, where we have WGN in Chicago normally very, very strong. Let's see if they're there yet. No, I'm not hearing them. All I'm hearing is Radio Católica, in Nicaragua. They were absolutely booming in a little bit ago. I'm pulling up the chat here now so I can kind of follow along with you guys if you're here with us. I'm not even sure if we have anybody watching yet. So that was one sign. I didn't see WGN on 720. I didn't see WBBM on 780. We can go there now and see if they've popped up at all. 780. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna sign up. And normally they're pretty loud here. Let's go now to 760 WJR. Not a bit. Not a hint of WJR yet. Got probably XEABC in there, probably this RC in Columbia in there. There's a Progresso outlet there. There's a couple things that we could be seeing. Still working on getting the chat up here, guys, so bear with me. It was also last minute. So yeah, there's no WJR, no WGN, no WBBM. I'm just doing my dual sign-in thing here with YouTube that I have to do on my phone. There we go. And all right, I've got the chat up and running. So if you guys are watching here, feel free to join in the chat and let us know what you're hearing as well. So yeah, so there we go. We've got no WJR, no WGN, no BBM. Let's take a look at something else here. Let me check 1120 KMOX. They're pretty close to my north, so I would still expect to hear them. I haven't checked this frequency yet, so this is going to be interesting to see if there's anything here. I haven't checked them yet, but I'm relatively close to St. Louis here in New Orleans, so I would expect to still have something. Let's see. All right.
What the scents are and experimenting with different fragrances.
Yeah, that is really the best part to really make the scent, and then after I make the scent,
I'm not surprised, and part of the other reason why I'm not surprised that they're there is because this Aurora, the extent we showed you earlier, was getting down into around Chicago. So I'm looking at stations that far north being attenuated here. Something like St. Louis is not that far. It's a little bit south of Chicago, right? So if the Aurora line started getting down into here, into like Missouri, Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee, we might have a little more attenuation of KMOX. So it really depends on two things. It depends on where you are in relation to the Aurora. If you're up in Chicago or Minnesota, our friend Justin up in Minnesota, or Bill up in Michigan, you guys might not have as great of conditions because you're kind of in the auroral zone. If the stations are to your north that are in the auroral zone, you probably have a little attenuation happening now on some of those stations. I was not hearing on 550 earlier. I was not hearing KTSA or KTRS, which is interesting. KTSA is I'm actually a little further north than San Antonio. KTRS is around the same place as KMOX, right? Not as strong, obviously, but it's been interesting to see, based on your relationship, your location to the Auroral event, the stations that you're hearing, what's between you and them, things like that. That will really dictate what you hear. So there may be some things that you're expecting to see that you don't, and some things that you would be surprised that they're still there. So let's just take a little tour of the band here and see what we have. If there's anything significant. One thing that I always have to do whenever there's any kind of auroral enhancement is I just have to look down to the south here and see if we have anything out of Peru. Doesn't look like we do. Let me just, on my 1090 here, out of Peru. This is a big one that I keep an eye on quite frequently in these kinds of conditions. 1089.976. I haven't heard them in quite a while, so I don't even know if they're still on the air, if I'm going to be honest with you. They might be, but it has been quite a while since I saw a hint of them, or if their offset has moved, maybe. I don't know. Looks like Keegan's there. Hey, Keegan. Hey, Hayden. Got a couple of you guys in here into the in the chat. Thank you for joining. I guess I should go over here on the Slack channel and announce that we're live. All right, so I just put that over into the chat on Slack. So if you're a Slack person, you should see that now. Now I need to go over here. Bear with me, guys. I need to go over and throw this stream onto our playlist so it'll appear on my website. Bear with me 1 second here. A little bit of behind the scenes work I have to do now. Turn some stuff on. Yes, save that. And we're going to go to our playlists and select both of those. Okay. All right, so we're up and running now here on YouTube fully now. We're also over on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter if you're on any of those. We are also live there. So let's do some DX. Let's take a look. I don't see 1090, my usual Peruvian here. I don't see them showing up. That's KAY.
On your radio, streaming online, and on your phone through our mobile app. Connect now at singingnews.com. Playing the best mix of Southern gospel music, Singing News Radio.
So let's just start from the bottom, we'll work our way up. 5:30, I would expect to hear Radio Encyclopedia and a little bit of Rebellion in there. And that's exactly what we've got. So Barry says he switched back to his West Cas. This event's just getting started. So I'm gonna go back over here to our screen share here. 159 solar flux. Again, that's not a really big impact on what we're looking at, but here these next three numbers are A index of 26. That's a big impact. That's a high number, and I'm possibly thinking this might get a little higher depending on what happens here with the K index. If the K index stays at 5 or higher over the next several hours, then this A index will follow suit. If the K index starts dropping, then the A index will follow suit. So we'll just keep an eye on that K index to see if that's going to continue to stay high or rise at all. I saw one forecast that shows 6 or 7 in the forecast, so we'll see. This is the big one. BZ is a negative 10.9. When I started looking at this about 30-45 minutes ago, we were negative 0.5, but we're now at a negative 10.9. And you have to have a negative BZ for auroral conditions to really take place. And the higher the number here, the more negative it is, in a sense. The more intense that opening is probably going to be. So with that being said, we should be looking at a pretty intense auroral condition here. One of the better ones that I've seen so far in the solar cycle 25 at least. I don't know if it's as good as some of the stuff we saw back in the 90s, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it's not giving me Argentina or anything yet, but you might have a good shot at some Colombians that you might not normally get to hear, things like that. Maybe some of these Caribbean stations that you might not normally get to hear, people who don't normally hear as many Cubans as we do down here in the South. You might have a shot for some of those kinds of things. So let's just take a look. So 530 Radio Encyclopedia is there.
Unity Fiber, networks that mean business.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
That's probably KMLB up in Monroe. They're my local.
Learn more at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473.
I just realized I wasn't on my south wire. I was on the southeast. I was on the northwest southeast wire.
Every hour, right here on News Talk 105.7 and 540 KMLB Monroe. So where the waste material is set, I'm Joe Gio.
But I can get rid of them with my vactrol. So what would I expect to hear on 540? I would expect to definitely hear XEWA out of Mexico. Let me take a look and see. Do we have... I think Radio Corporacion down in Nicaragua is probably off the air at this point right now. Coming back a little bit, about an hour or so, isn't it? They usually come around 0300, 0500, somewhere in there. So I would expect that they're probably not on the air right now. Let me zoom this waterfall out a bit and see. Yeah, I don't see anything around that 8.6 point offset area, so probably not there right now. Let's keep on going though. 550. We're on 550 here. I expect to see a couple of things here. I would expect Rebellion to be in there. And this RNC, Radio Nacional de Colombia, is probably another one that I would expect. We have a couple of other outlets we can check against on for that one. Let's see, what's Rebellion doing right now? So that's Rebellion, because that's 1620 Rebellion. So when we hear that in here, that's the Rebellion outlet underneath, kind of lower in there. Earlier, we had Radio Nacional de Colombia on 2 frequencies, 570, a little weaker on 570, but 680, they were absolutely dominating. Let's see if they're still there.
On their team, Monday morning, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
Oh, wow. That's Memphis, isn't it? I think. Yeah, Memphis. MFS. Let me show you how loud they were. This is Columbia at 7:30. This is how loud Columbia was at 7:30 when they ID'd. Let me pull this up here before we went live.
Radio Nacional de Colombia. Estamos donde tú estás. Las regiones de Colombia tienen su propia voz, sus propias vivencias y lo más importante, su propia esencia. Conoce las historias, personajes y artistas de todos los rincones de Colombia en nuestras voces. Encuéntralas en www.radionacional.com.
So that was about, about 30, 45 minutes ago or so. That was Radio Nacional de Colombia IDing. And you can tell how loud they were here on 680. We have the same thing happening on 570 at the same time. But now it looks like Memphis is taking over again on 680. But I would not count Columbia out. try the southeast. Okay. That song you're hearing there, kind of the horns, the Madonna song, that's Columbia. They're loud on 570 now. Crazy for you. That's Columbia. They were doing Evita earlier. Music from the Madonna version of Evita. Okay, sorry guys, back. So just a quick recap, kind of where we are, because I think we have some new folks who have joined in. Welcome to you all. Appreciate you being here. Let me refresh my page here and see if we have a new number on that BZ. Oh, down to 9.8. Okay. So, possible Aurora conditions going on. A little bit of an Auroral enhancement for some folks. Not everyone's going to see this. The line is somewhere around, for the forecast line, rather, for how far south this was going to dip, is somewhere around Chicago or so. Here is the forecasted Aurora line. You'll see the red line here. That's how far south the Aurora was supposed to take place. So what you're usually looking for here is stations above that line being attenuated or gone on an AM dial. The closer you are to that line, the less likely that is. If you're above it, even more so. But the further south you are, then it gives you a chance to get a little attenuation on those and get those stations to the south. So in theory, there's a couple things you usually like to see here. Number one, you usually like to see a high A index, and we have that. We're at 26. A high K index usually precursors a high A index, so the higher the K index is, usually that means that the A index is not done. It's either staying where it's at or it's going to drive higher. We're at a 5. Normal K indexes are somewhere in the 0 to 2 range. So being at a 5, that means we're not done. This thing is still going, because usually the A index follows the K. The K is a much more immediate measure of the ionosphere, the magnetic field, where the A index is more a little bit of a delay compared to the K. So I saw some forecasts showing this getting up as high as 6 or 7. We'll see. And then this BZ. You have to have a negative BZ for the Aurora conditions to affect the medium wave band, to see auroral enhancement conditions on medium wave. Earlier when I checked this, we were at negative 0.5. This was about 7:15, 7:30. We were at negative 0.5. A few moments ago, we were at negative 10.9. Now we're negative 9.8. So this is one that's going to fluctuate a bit. But all these are in the negative, and they're fairly high, especially 9.8, 10.9. Those are fairly high negative BZs. So that means we should be seeing aurora conditions or auroral enhancement for quite a bit of folks. How am I seeing it here? Well, we've got no WGN on 720 when we last checked, no WBBM on 780 when we last checked. We have no WJR on 760 when we last checked. And instead, we have things like Columbia on 680 dominating, Columbia on 570, very, very strong. A lot of folks are seeing some Cubans and some southern U.S. stations. And I think Bill up in Michigan, Bill was seeing North Carolina on 1590, which was a relog, but he was seeing them. I am not seeing some of the usual things that I typically see to my north. Now, we did have KMOX in there, but on 550, KTRS was not. Let's go back to 550 now and see what we got. We'll throw it back on the south wire and see how we look. So is this Rebeldy? That's Rebeldy right there on 1620. So this music you're hearing here, this kind of orchestral instrumental music here. And here, that's Columbia. Let's go back to 720. I would expect to see Radio Catholica. In here somewhere. They were dominating earlier, but no sign of WGN. Oh, I hear music like that and it's so enticing that it could be something interesting. Is it Progresso? No. That's not Progresso. Look at Progresso. Look at 640. Where's Progresso at? I think that's Collierville, Tennessee. Sports. Nope. Probably Oklahoma then. Okay. Let's go to 670. You guys mentioned 670. Let's see what we got there. On the south wire. It's the Rebeldy wall, probably. Yeah. No sign of Chicago there. A little bit of a wobble in there. I would show you 870 for the wobble on an 870, but I've got my local WWL to contend with. Let's look at something here interesting. 840, Barry recently heard Haiti over here. I've normally got W here in Cuba as my 840 option. That's not HAS.
We've seen that time and time again.
And I realize something. This is inhuman, but in order to be a dean or a president of a college, I think on your resume it has to say college. I'm not cynical, but it's a fact. They're cowards. There are a handful of exceptions, University of Chicago, a few others, but by and large they're cowards.
So that's Kentucky.
They're literally scared
Which again, St. Louis is still coming in, so that makes sense to me that Kentucky is still coming in. Now, if this Aurora dives any further south, we might have a shot at either or both of those coming and being more attenuated if that drives further south from here in Chicago area further south. I don't know that the Aurora is in Chicago. That's where it's forecast to be. But I would need that to drive down further south, especially if we get that second CME coming in here on the heels of this one. Maybe we could see something even further south. That'd be very, very interesting. Back to the audio here. .373 says Barry, all right? Let me see if I can get that backed out enough. .373 will be right about here, right? I'm not seeing anything. Would it be that Colombian? La Voz de Dios? Here? 10 kilowatt? I don't see anything on there right now. Let me play with my vactrol a bit. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for him then. That would be a new one. We do have some lightning crashes. To contend with here. Here's where the lightning is. To my northwest. So hopefully, if we're looking more south, we can attenuate these lightning crashes a bit and get rid of them. This would be Memphis. That's WMSC. It has to be.
But there's another quarterback that I
or Texas. Could be Texas.
Not draft eligible. He's got to go back.
Local. This is an interesting one. 770 is a good Colombian freak. I was really hoping here on 780 to have a shot at Venezuela, Radio Coro, which was the first Venezuelan that I ever heard. Hey everybody, hey Carl. Let's go back on our search here. 560. I've got Beaumont to my west. But I'm pretty sure I can get rid of them, mostly. 570 is Colombia. And Cuba, but by the way, the TikToks in there is Cuba. Let me verify that's still Colombia. Yep. They're doing the whole Madonna night tonight. Instrumental versions of Madonna's music. So if you hear anything on 570 or 680 or anywhere there's a Radio Nacional de Colombia outlet, if you hear instrumental Madonna, there you go. This is a good time to search for them. Let's go back to 550. I think there's one there. Nope. Who we got here? There is a station in Mexico. This is interesting. Do we have Costa Rica on 550? I know Barry's heard him here. That would be nice. That's not Rebellion. I don't think. Yeah. That is not Rebellion. 549-925 says Barry. I gotta zoom back out again. Oh, no, that's not them then. I'm not seeing anything down that low. Cried. It's probably Columbia. With the music they're playing, that's got to be Colombia. Could be Venezuela. It's probably Colombia, though. And I know I heard that Colombian in Charleston. I can't remember if I heard it here or not. Let me look and see. That might be a new one, if it is them. Oh, nope, I've got him here. HJHF. Strong head on 558, says John. Tom thinks he's got Artemisa on 770. We'll check that one next. If anybody's got a live stream here of either Mundial in Venezuela or Radio Nacional de Colombia on 550, confirm if that's who we have here. I'm pretty sure that's Colombia. It sounds like some of the music they play a lot that's very similar to Cuba. Checking the phone here to see what we got coming in. Checking social media, see if anybody else is reporting anything. Friend of the channel and regular DXC Live audience member Haley says signals in southeast Arkansas are weakened from the north. WHO, WLW, that's a good one to look at. Both of those. Chicago blowtorches, etc., are either weak or inaudible. That's in southeast Arkansas. So let's go check that. Let's go look at 700. Ooh, it's gonna be tough. I've got him in between 690 a local. And all that. So that's definitely not rebellion. It's gonna be a tough one. It would be Columbia here if we can get rid of LW. Let's see. Haley mentioned, what else was it? It was HO. Let's go look at 1040 real quick. See if we have anything there. Still got some 1040 in there. LS, let's look at WLS 890. That's Cuba. Progresso. Yep. No sign of LS there. Let's see what's on 1K. See if we got Mexico. Yep. That's Mexico. And I'm assuming that talk station that's in there is probably Oklahoma. KTOK. I would check out 830 to see if CCO is gone and if we have any shot at Dominican Republic. However, my semi-local here in Norco, on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, is on again. And of course they're Latin, so it's kind of tantalizing. You're like, oh, could it be? But no, it's not them. You have to actually like listen for a while to hear the Nueva Orleans and things like that, and it just bums you out. 840. Let's try them again. Let's go southeast here, see if we can get anything out of Haiti. They may be off the air by now, but we'll at least try it. I gotta clean that contact. Hola, hola.
Values and their vision.
Okay. So let's see if we can use the phaser here a bit. I want to hear French. If I can hear some French. I'll be happy. Hola, hola, Ailey. Just talking about your comment on Facebook. Don't hear any French. Hey, Mason Mike. Welcome, my friend. Appreciate you guys jumping in here off the cuff. This is always fun. Just kind of jumping in on playing like this.
The Lakers got a win, went down by 25 plus. Superloop Lopez hit the game winner in the final 25 seconds. Drew Holiday scored 33. The Milwaukee Bucks have won 14 straight games today. They take the Suns.
We've got the Rouleau on 850. I don't know if I have that one.
Reporting the Hawks agreed to a 5-year deal with Quinn Snyder to be their next head coach. Today, Trae Young's buzzer beater capped a 34-point game in Atlanta's 129-127 win over the
yeah, I do. $860's a little tougher, but they're in there. $860's tough because of WWL, which is
Scott Harrington, Santeria Hataka, go.
880, we should have a Progresso in there. Progresso in here. And that can happen, Haley, as well as signals that are to the north of the stations that you normally hear. Even if you normally hear, like I normally would hear, let's say 920 out of Arkansas, KARN, right? But if there are stations to the north that are also kind of trying to make the trip and can kind of mix it up with those signals, if you attenuate those out and kind of clear it because of an aurora condition, those signals that are like still to your north but not like being impacted by the aurora event because they're not that far north, they can be a little louder. That can happen. So I would imagine that if I go to 920 right now,
5 for 5 deal.
there's Little Rock. I saw that with KMOX earlier.
Jody Mac coming back. Lying for the world. We just saw that.
They're still there.
It's the nature of a communist dictatorship to lie to their own people.
Right. So there you have a couple of stations that are to my north, but they're not far enough north that they're being impacted by the aurora conditions. But the stations to their north, if there are any, would be. And so by getting rid of them or attenuating them out, it's clearing out the frequency a little bit of some of the noise that's there and the muddle that's there, and leaving signals that are either to your south or, you know, to the south of that aurora event to be able to come through.
Thanks for getting up very early this morning out there.
1110 is usually XERED. But I would also expect Charlotte to be here as well, since KFAB here in Omaha is probably getting attenuated. I would check that, see if that's Bonaire. I've got a local though, WSHO, to get through. I could probably try to phase him out, but... See if I can phase these guys out. It's gonna be tough. Because both of my antennas are pointing south, which is right at them. Keegan mentioned over in Slack, no sign of, go back to it, it just went away. No sign of Kansas City, got Rebellion on 710. It's still early, Barry, we might be getting, there's a second CME heading our way, and depending on if the magnetic field is still energized, could just enhance the enhancement. So this might be a precursor. Depends on the timing of the next one arriving. So this is just getting started. So 800 is gonna be a tough one. All right, 790. I hear the chimes from below. You know who I want? Let me go check my other favorite Latin frequency here. Got another local here to contend with.
He said here to him, give all the prophets witness that through his name, whosoever believeth in him shall receive the remission of sin. That's Jew and Gentile, no matter who, while Peter spake these words, the Holy Ghost fell on them which heard the word, and then they were, they of the circumcision, which was the Jews, which believed, were astonished.
See if we can get Nicaragua here on 600. La Nueva Radio, ya! We'll check for Ecuador here on 1510 in a minute, too. $620, check that one to see if it parallels 1620, because that could be Rebellion.
They do eat different things than us.
It's my local again. English. Don't hear anything there.
As they were there, and they locked him up, and the Lord blessed, and the great earthquake
They're at.
The Bible says shook the doors.
Turn that AGC off.
And the Bible talks about how they begin to come and
They should be pretty close to my beam, center beam on this Kaz. Let's jump to 1510. See if we can get anything out of Radio Monumental.
This coming from the wheel and Superloop.
That's probably them right there. That's them. That's Ecuador. If you need Ecuador, it's a great time for them. 1510. Radio Monumental. That music is pretty distinct. I'll notify the folks in the Slack channel. So there's Ecuador, which then makes me think, let's check 1500 for Peru. Are they not on anymore? Radio Santa Rosa? They in here on 1500? Not there anymore? That's no fun.
To recap, you said Lamar in the Falcons, although you said you think he's going to be back to Baltimore.
So there's 1530. Probably a little Cincinnati in there.
Tampa or one of the New Orleans, one of the other NFC South teams. Ryan Tannehill being a quarterback of a team that drafts a quarterback and plays for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then bows out.
Hey, Earl. See if we can hear any Bahamas here on 1540. Yeah. They're there. Paralleling them with 810. You can hear them. All right, listen close. It's 1540. That's 810. Hearing the same kind of echoey, kind of muffled sounding voice there. They're there. So if you need Bahamas, 810 and 1540, they are coming in tonight. You can parallel between the two to see if you're getting both. I wish I could get them on 1240. Their other outlet. But I don't have much hope for that. There's Alabama in there with country music on 810. Let's see. We've looked at 1510 Ecuador. They're coming in. We've looked at... let's take a look and see if we've got the El Salvadorian here on 1630. Radio Elohim. Not hearing them. I don't know their schedule, though, if they're going to be on this time of night or not. Let's go back to 720 and see if Radio Catholica is on. still, or if we're getting G in yet. That's them. That's Nicaragua with the prayer. That is Nicaragua. 750. Let me see if we have Progresso or if WSB is still in.
Introducing Small Business
Still
Savings,
WSB.
a deal for companies across the country. When you call in now, you can get powerful internet for just $39 a month for 12 months. $39 a month with no annual contract.
Not surprised. I mean, they're not that far north of me.
Small businesses with the company that powers.
But I do
more
hear Progresso
businesses
in
than
there.
Anyone else. So if you're a small business owner, don't.
760. I would expect here WJR to be gone or weak. And I don't hear them. One of those is probably here. XEABC, their dominant station here. Probably have Progresso in there. There's Progresso. So 760, we know we've got Progresso in there. There's another station underneath singing in Spanish. Likely either XEABC, although they usually do more contemporary stuff. When I've heard them, there is also an RCN, RCN, here on the northern coast of Colombia that could be. Let's go check that 770 for Artemisa. That's interesting, Tom. You've got South Dakota coming in. Makes me wonder if that Aurora is really as far south as they're saying. Let's do a refresh real quick. Let me just look at my solar conditions numbers here. BZ back down to a negative 0.5. Still A of 26, K of 5, but BZ is now a negative 0.5. Which is what it was when this whole thing started a little over an hour ago. So this could be RCN, RCN Colombia. Could be Mexico. Could be Artemisa. John, you are closer to the Aurora, so I would not doubt that. Check 780. I would love to get Venezuela here. Big time. Instead, we don't have much here. But I mean, you see no WBBM at all. Completely missing. No WBBM at all. And if I go back down to 720, no GN. Oh, 780. That Colombian head. Did I miss that? Let me go back up. Isn't it 325 we said? Or 37? Somewhere in here? I mean, you can see here on the waterfall, not really much in the way of strong signals here on 780. That one could be BBM right there, that red one. It's just not making it audio-wise. I'm not seeing anything else showing up on the waterfall here. Let me do something though. Let me come back. Here comes a refresh. We'll do the trick. If it's there, it's super weak. It's not even registering as a trace. $373. Oh, I am looking in the wrong spot, aren't I? Up here. Sorry. Not seeing anything there. And now I'm not hearing the head, and I'm back down on the principal freak. Not hearing the head at all. I shall keep an eye. Something weak under SM. Let's take a look.
Thank you, Avery. That little song was a lot of memories for me and for our family, and probably for many of you. Oops. We've got one lunch every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Time. We broadcast new episodes for you to watch on Facebook.
Let me know if what you're hearing is what I'm hearing.
Also, you can catch up on the replays of dozens of our
likely Progresso. They do have an outlet here.
On demand for free.
Which we can confirm by paralleling here with 640.
Visit my online music store at jasonmusicstore.com or order any of my music over the phone by calling 833-633-8885. I'll be back right here on WSM Radio next Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Time for another episode of our show. But for tonight, as always, I'll sign off by playing one last song on my piano. This is Jason Coleman saying good night
All right, I got mostly rid of WSM here. Nothing really rising to the top with SM null. I would hope that I could vactrol them out a bit easier, but there's such a big signal.
Jason Coleman Show on WSM Radio. Tune in every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central right here on WSM Radio for a new piano concert from Jason. And remember to visit JasonColemanMusic.com for much more from Jason, including his albums, tour dates, and videos.
Say Jason
I'm
again.
Jennifer Harris. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Okay, I hear Regresso now. There she is, talking on 650. And there she is on 640 as well, so that's Progresso that I'm hearing, at least on my side. Female talking in Spanish. There's 620. Gonna be likely a lot of Rebellion in St. Pete. We can test the Rebellion. Okay, not Rebellion. Probably Mexico.
Este es el caso en que la imagen del capitán Willard en la piel del actor Martin Chen, tendido sobre la cama mirando el ventilador del techo, se une a la de los helicópteros bombardeando la selva con napalm mientras...
Oh, I'm back on 640 now. No wonder. Okay, Rebelli's in there. But I would think the other one's probably Mexico. I want to get some of this Central American stuff. Where are they at? Let's go back down to 550 and see if Costa Rica's coming in yet. They are 9255. I hear Rebellion in there. Oh, give me Mundial. Okay, so the pop music is Rebeldi. And they're in there. With this slow slow Spanish, it's either, my guess, Radio Nacional de Colombia, which is most likely, because they were heard earlier, or Radio Mundial here in Venezuela, in Caracas, which would love that. Yeah, Brother Spock, that's very likely going to be KTNN Window Rock. Not sure where you're located, but that would be my guess. I'm not sure if anyone has a beat on the live stream for Mundial, if they even have one. But we could at least try to eliminate them as a variable here. So I'm going to go over here to their website and try to do that. If it'll let me. Okay, that's supposed to be Radio Mundial.
YPKE Mundial. No duerme.
So that's what's supposed to be going on right now on Mundial. So let's take a look and see what we have here on the air. Don't think it's that. Up. BZ is now 3.4 in the positive. So if it's now in the positive, I don't hold out a lot of hope for an extended event here, unless we get that second CME to really give the old 1-2 punch. There's the BZ at 3.4 now. So my guess is this is probably Colombia. All right, Tom got a new one. Got his fifth 650. Adding Progresso in there. Good job, man. That's supposed to be much more. There we go. A little early celebration for you. All right, so now Cuba's doing Madonna tributes. Or Madonna music. Have we checked if she's still kicking? Her brother died. Madonna's brother passed away, so maybe that's what they're doing. They're coming in.
Llevo dentro de mi alma como un tatuaje de sol y entre mis penas palpita la llama encendida.
Trying to get this to stop. Stop. That's Columbia. '80s pop on 890. Does it sound like this?
Escríbeme a Ritmo Dominical, Radio Progreso, apartado 3042, código postal 10300 La Habana, en Cuba. O al correo electrónico, anota, ritmos@sprogreso.icrt.co.
Alright, so we've looked at 540, 550, 560, 570, 580.
Alright, every Tuesday I visit actually 33 different websites and I'm studying different topics on
Hey Rick!
And this is part of the show where I like to talk about tech.
So yeah, quick recap for Rick and anyone else who might have just joined in a little late here. So earlier, about I guess about 7:30 local Central Time, I was noticing WGN in Chicago, WBBM in Chicago, 890 Chicago, 768 WJR in Detroit, all gone. No sign of them. A index of 26, K index of 5, BZ was a negative 0.5 at the time. That BZ drove up to a negative 10.9 at one point. Now it's back to a 3.4 in the positive. And usually for aurora conditions on medium wave, you have to have a negative BZ. So we had it for a little bit, but now it's back to 3.4 positive, but still high K, high A index. So this event's not over. And in fact, there's a second CME on the way. So this is a result of one CME. And there's another one on the way. And depending on when it hits, I was reading here from, let's see, Space Weather Watch. Seeing a ton of great aurora shots so far out of Europe. North America is next. It'd be really interesting if Earth's magnetic field is still enhanced for the second CME arrival. If so, we might be talking about this one. for a long time. This storm for a long time. So this person actually says the BZ better go back negative or I'm gonna riot. Yeah, I mean, we're at 3.4 right now. So, looking for, there's my current conditions. Let me go back up here. Let's see. This has still got our BZ at a -1, 24A, K of 5, polar A index 27, K of 6, -1 BZ. There was a -11.5 at one point. Positive back this way. Back towards see where we're at now. Yeah, we're at a -1 as of right now is what it's saying. This is a live condition. So, in theory, we should have some form of auroral conditions occurring right now. That's what the numbers are telling us. And the fact that from my location here in Louisiana, some of those northern states are not being heard, those northern stations are not being heard, kind of flushed that out. I don't really see a lot of enhancement though. So I'm seeing maybe some attenuation of that stuff to the north, but I'm not seeing the enhancement to the south that I would expect to see. I'm not seeing like Ecuador louder than usual, or you know, any of these stations to the south being louder than normal. What I'm hearing is fairly routine. I'm just not hearing the other stuff mixing in with it. So, and basically it's acting like when I throw my antenna to the south anyway, where I kind of get rid of those stations anyway. That's what it's kind of acting like. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be super, super strong or not. Let me go back to the 760. I hear Progresso in there and probably XEABC in there. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna drop here for a second, for a little bit, and keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on some of these that we've been looking at, like the 550s. New post from Space Weather Watch. Super thrilled. Let me put this up on the screen for you guys to be able to share and see. Super thrilled this forecast panned out. We in the field put a lot of effort and thought into CME analysis and modeling, sometimes spending many hours just for analyzing one CME for possible Earth directedness. Tonight's just getting started, but let's hope for more aurora tomorrow night. We have one more CME due to arrive tomorrow. So, so there you go. Let's see. This guy says he's been retweeting a lot of the states reporting. Huge auroras in central Minnesota right now. Somebody call Justin and tell him to get outside of his concert. Huge auroras in central Minnesota. Aurora looking good now north of Ontario. So these, anywhere you see these auroral conditions like that, that's where we might see attenuation of signals from those areas. Northern Lights, Southeast Michigan, too faint for my camera, but they're here. Very, very faint, not a cloud, because no cloud glows a little green, and that is that thin, okay? South Dakota's talking about it. Again, Michigan here, Onaway, Michigan. So, Bill, I'm not sure if you're on the chat over here, if you're seeing anything. I'm hearing it might be a little cloudy for some folks. Washington, Keller, Washington reporting auroras now. Chicago even seeing some green tint right in there. A faint pillar. Yeah, right there, yeah. So, Northern Lights being captured via exposure right now in Northern Illinois. Even a faint pillar in there from National Weather Service. Chicago. So they're seeing it. Ohio seeing some auroras. Right now in Banff, Alberta, seeing some auroras as you expect. So yeah, looks like this auroral condition. Wow. Wow. Okay, so yeah, it's there. It's out there. So you might be seeing it depending on where you're located if you're far north enough. I guess Chicago is the furthest south that I've seen so far. So we're going to keep an eye on this sucker. Refresh and see. BZ still at 3.4 positive on the 316 GMT. So that was 2 minutes ago. As of 2 minutes ago. 3.4 positive. So that means the aurora is probably pushing away from a medium wave standpoint, so we wouldn't really see it very much. But we'll keep an eye on if that changes. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, twitter.com/DXCentral. We'll be posting there if we're seeing what we're seeing, if we're seeing any changes to the conditions here. I'm going to keep my recording running. I'm going to keep looking at some of the frequencies we've been looking at. 550 for that Costa Rican. That's one I really want. And so forth. So if you guys are seeing anything, obviously let us know. We'll be in the Slack channel as well, keeping an eye on that as well for those of you in the Slack channel. So thank you, my friends. We're going to go in here and take a quick break for a while, and if anything changes, we'll be back. So appreciate you guys jumping on short notice here. Take care, my friends. 73 and Best of DX. We'll see you later.
This is DX Central Live.